So I've heard different things about the Stribog. This is the SP9A3. I have never fired one before. I've got a mixture of some 115, 124, and some frange in there. I don't know if it's gonna have issues. Let's just mag dump the thing for the first mag and see what happens. Lock back, good to me. So this is the Bog, the Stribog SP9A3, which is Slovakia's finest, as you can see right there. This is the pistol version with an SP9A3 side folding brace on it. Of course, a little dot up top here, but I have been waiting to get my hands on this thing for a very long time since I first was able to use my buddies out on the range. Now this SP9A3 has a kind of roller delayed blowback. It's not technically roller delayed blowback just based on what the function is, but it's a delayed blowback system which makes it much softer shooting than the original one that my buddy has. All right, so like I said, this has been on my list for quite some time. I have bugged Global Ordnance before to see if I could get one, and they were finally cool enough to send the SP9A3 and those mags out for the video. So lots of cool stuff. I appreciate them for doing that because it's actually a pretty cool little rig. Let's go ahead and check this one out up close. We'll kind of talk about how that system works. We're gonna check out this trigger because that is a newer style trigger as well. It's quite a bit better than the one my buddy has in his original A1 version, which also doesn't quite run as good as this one because there's been some issues back and forth with what types of ammo, and it kind of likes a little bit of that higher pressured stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and check all that stuff out, talk about those things, talk about the price of this thing, how it sits right here, because the folding brace is an add-on. And of course, see if this is something that may be for you. So make sure you guys get subbed up, get belled up, turn the notifications down there to all on, and we're gonna get into the Stribog SP9A3 right now. All right, Slovakia's finest, the SP9A3 Stribog. So let's talk about the basic specs on here from the back to the business end. The SP9A3 brace, like I said, that is an additional thing. Otherwise you just get that flat end plate. Let's work our way forward from there. So the entire chassis is an aluminum alloy, so good stuff there. You'll see across the top, we are going to have a full-length pick rail all the way to the end, all one piece. We do have an integrated flip-up sight right there. It is a polymer doodad right there, nothing to write home about. You can see I got my hollow sun green up on top. Love that optic, it's turning out to be absolutely great. The bottom half here is a polymer base with a metal internal chassis which houses their new trigger, which bears a striking resemblance almost to something like you'd see from CMC. We do have an ambi safety that is a full 90 degrees. You can see that bad one on both sides. We also have a mag release that is ambi on both sides. And then this is your bolt lock, bolt release right there, which is ambi as well. Quite nice to have a 100% ambi little mini setup like this because easier to run. Moving forward from there, got a very AR look to it, okay? You'll see up there, there's a little bit of texture and kind of grip because these are super short, so you may have to grab on up in this area when you're actually using this thing out on the range. Moving forward from there, we do have, this is not M-LOK rail, okay? This is for your charging handle and your actual blowback system, so don't put M-LOK in there. Your M-LOK attachments are down here. They are on both sides, but there is not a ton of it to work with. Super short. Got that front flip-up sight right there. Again, it's plastic, and it does come with an extra set of flip-up sights in case, I guess, you break those ones because they're a polymer-based setup. Coming through here on this side, you'll just see basic stuff. There's nothing crazy here. Takedown pin here, takedown pin here. And then your barrel kind of, you know, exits about, it's about 3 inches, maybe about 2.5, a little bit less than 3 inches out the front. And you do have a thread protector right here. You're probably gonna wanna get an O-ring or something on this because this will back off constantly out on the range once you are using it. Our charging handle is swappable. You can take this and move it to the other side once you go to disassemble. But I want to show you guys real quick kind of what that delayed blowback system is. So if you watch that part of the bolt right there, which says US on it, you'll kind of see it work. So right there, you see it drop back and down. You see that pin back there kind of move. Okay, that is the rollered blowback, that delayed blowback system on it, and it does make a difference when it comes to using this thing out on the range as far as the felt recoil impulse goes. The US version, I believe that is why it says US on here, has a specific locker in it that's supposed to help with running the lower powered ammunition in it. Like I said, I didn't have any problems with the ammo at all. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll do a couple trigger pulls on this thing so you guys can see where it's at, because this trigger feels a lot better than my buddies. All right, so overhead light went out. We'll go ahead, bring the pull gauge in and do our pull test on this thing. It's a little heavy, but it's not terrible as compared to other things. So we are just under 6 pounds, about 5 pounds and probably 14 ounces there. Not terrible. I haven't really noticed a dramatic change in the trigger from when I first got it out to the range, but it's been fairly consistent right around that, you know, just under 5 to right at 6 pound mark. I know some people were probably hoping for something that was super light. You're not going to get it with this bad boy right here. You can see that one was a little closer to 5.5, but I might have been just a little lower on the trigger. Overall, pretty cool stuff going on here. Let's talk price. Let's talk how this ran, if there were any issues. Because one thing I did notice is this rear section of M-LOK, you can't really use it because like the barrel nut or the trunnion or whatever it's locked into here, I don't know what their specific name for that part is, blocks you from using about this far back of the M-LOK. So we'll see if there was anything else that came up, and of course talk about that reliability. So I know I want to see this thing shoot a little bit, so let's check out a little bit of this thing shooting. All right, so now you've had a good chance to see this thing up close and kind of understand how that works. So other than the magazine dropping and expelling around, I didn't experience any other things like stovepipes, failure to extract, failure to feed, any of that stuff that a couple other people out there have. You can check all of those videos out from Military Arms Channel and several other people that have done reviews on these things before. I had a good experience. However, what I did as well was I did an extremely thorough cleaning of this thing 3 times and lubrication 3 times because it was dirty up in there. So at a gun at this price point, they're not always going to be the cleanest thing when they get to you. There's going to be some burrs, maybe some, you know, machining process stuff left in there, some coating. I always clean my rigs very thoroughly, generally more than once prior to getting them out to the range, because I have found it usually gives a far better experience on the range. That's not something I'm saying you should have to do. I'm just saying that's what I do. As far as how I noticed this thing perform, it was pretty soft, especially for how small it is. And that has to do with that kind of delayed blowback system in there. You know, ARs and all that, where I can get that feeling that you know when you're at bolt lock. I didn't observe that on this, and I missed that last round hold open like every time it happened. Now that's a me thing. Other than that, the controls between the mag release being ambidextrous and the bolt release right there, it worked flawless every single time once I realized I was out of ammo. The only other thing that really caught my attention was kind of the aggressive angle of the grip. It's not bad, but if you're a taller guy, longer limbed kind of person, especially if you're using this SBA tactical brace, you're really kind of at a weird angle. So you have to hold it out a little bit further. Otherwise your wrist is kind of canted like this. And it caused a lot of me kind of skipping my pace on a trigger. That's natural. I know what that's from. It's because my wrist doesn't want to be at that aggressive angle. And that's just kind of what you get with this. As far as I know, no one's making aftermarket kind of more, you know, less aggressive angled grips on here. It's just something to pay attention to and something that I notice. And a lot of people aren't really going to have an issue with that, just depending on where you hold it. Cost here for this little guy, it's going to be $8.99. So for some of you, you may have been expecting that. Others that may be expensive, and others that may be totally reasonable. So with 3 magazines, and I don't know if the new ones are going to be shipping with the curved mags or with these mags, because the curved ones just came out like literally, I think a week or 2 ago prior to filming this video, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks by the time this is actually posted. I'm not 100% sure on which mags are going to be sent out with it. Either way, you're gonna get 3 mags for $8.99 and this little setup. And then if you want the SBA tactical brace on it, that is an additional cost, which you need to factor in. I think it's like 100 or 150 bucks or something. So taking that into account, it's pretty cool. I definitely need to get a lot more rounds through it. And one of the things I'm gonna be paying a lot of attention to is kind of the carrier up here for the charging handle. So my understanding is, and I can tell, this is not a metal piece that the charging handle goes into. And once some people have heated this thing up, getting like 5,000, 1,500, 2,000 rounds through it very quickly, they have deformed that a little bit, or it gets to the point where it starts to expand because it's polymer, and it can cause a little bit of bolt drag, which can cause some malfunctions. So that is definitely something I'm going to be paying attention to. But then again, most of us are never going to go run 1,500 to 2,000 rounds at a rapid pace through pretty much anything. It really depends on what you are looking to do. So after all of that stuff and knowing what I knew going into this, since my buddy actually has the version 1 and his is suppressed, so it's much, much cooler than mine, I'm gonna keep the thing around, and I'm definitely going to put at least another 500 rounds for this thing so I can see if I can kind of replicate or cause any of those issues that other people have had. So there have been a bunch of changes in this thing from the initial version of it. The bolts are different, a bunch of stuff in there's different, the mags are different. So that is quite a nice change because at least they are progressing. So we are gonna see how it goes. Like I said, this is the first installment of the Stribog. So I hope you guys appreciated learning about this and checking this one out. I will get the second video out as soon as I can get more rounds through it at the range with those curved mags. If you guys are interested in anything, check those links out down below. Make sure you get subbed up, get belled up, turn those notifications to all on. And of course, if you want to support the channel in any way, you can use any of the links down below or check out the Patreon. And as always, you guys remember, get out there, have some fun. And if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you guys on the next one.